Well, welcome to the Smooth Live Show. Your host, Paul Toothpicks Coory from SmoothJazz.Melbourne, and from Melbourne, Australia. And we want to welcome you and thank you for taking the time out this morning here in Melbourne. It's nice and crisp in the traditional style of Melbourne weather, and also we take you from the other side of the world, Michigan, with Kathy Kosins. When you come to the road between jazz and soul, you can only have one name that explicits this crossover. The highest ranking vocalist for 2019 on the Smooth Jazz Network charts with her music, and that remains within several Billboard charting reporting stations for in excess of over 102 consecutive weeks, with accolades and obviously number ones with the title track Uncovered Soul and Can We Pretend, with the album A-listed on the Jazz FM London and nominated by Smooth Jazz Network, Breakout Artist of the Year for 2018 and 2019, who excels with talent as an abstract painter. There is only one name to introduce, and we welcome to the Smooth Live Show, Kathy Kosins. Welcome, Kathy.
Good morning to you, sir.
I just want to cover off, Kathy, highest ranking vocalist for 2019. I'm lifting you up a little bit here. Breakout artist for 18-19. I mentioned this earlier in your bio, in the beginning bio. Headlined and shared stage with notables, and I know that in our pre-chats, the names that you reel off to me are phenomenal. Gregory Porter, Robert Clasper, Herbie Hancock, just some of these names. So Kathy, what are you proud of today?
Paul, I will tell you, it's a long career. I mean, I've had 35 years plus in this business. I started as a background singer for a lot of people in Detroit. I ended up singing in the band Was Not Was, and I was a session artist for many groups coming out of Detroit, and then I ended up writing for other artists, boy groups, girl groups. I had a couple of big dance records out in the mid 80s. And then I ended up, and I also at that time, I mean, I was working in a lot of different groups live, including a jazz orchestra, a big band, a 17-piece jazz orchestra. And beyond that, I mean, I could spend 2 hours talking about the history. And I'm really proud of all of it. I mean, there's nothing that I haven't done that I would say, boy, I wish I hadn't done that. I've traveled and performed all over the world. I've taught at over 150 colleges and universities as a guest artist, where you go for 2 or 3 days and you work with the jazz program and the music students, and then you give a concert. I mean, I've been at big schools, little schools, performing arts schools, high schools, little kids, community work, like for and then I started painting in the early 90s, and I started painting from the stage.
Wow!
At every concert, everything. I painted in China, and I titled the paintings "Made in China 1" and "Made in China 2." I painted at the Blue Note. It was the Blue Note Jazz Club in Beijing a year ago. I painted on the Blue Note Jazz Cruise. And everywhere I go and I paint, I mean, I sell these paintings right off the stage.
That's amazing.
So it's become a second career. And wow. I started doing one-woman shows. I had a one-woman show at Yale University and different colleges, and at writing a lot of music. Now that I've been in the lockdown, now that we really can't go out and perform right now, I've been writing a lot. People are sending me tracks. Nils sent me a track.
Nils, wow.
You know who Nils is?
Yeah, I do.
Nils sent me a track, and I started working on it, and then I got sidetracked, and I'm going to finish it. And people are sending me tracks. Listen, you had Lisa Adeo on, I think a week ago.
Yes.
That one, that's on my bucket list. I would love to write with her and do a record with her, a single. There's
Yeah.
a lot of people that I would really love to work with. She's number one on my hit parade for the next one, after I'm finished with Nils. I've got a show that will be launching next year if all is well and we are past this pandemic.
Mm.
And it's with a 15 or 16-piece female jazz orchestra called the Diva Jazz Orchestra. And they're wonderful. I mean, these ladies are amazing. It's an all-women group. And there's a show that I had back in 2009 and 10, and it's the music that went into the Betty Boop cartoons, it's called Rhapsody in Boop, and it's got its own website now. And that show will sell. That show will go into the theater.
Let me pull that up.
There you go. Oh my God! Look at that.
So, Rhapsody in Boop. Yeah. Kathy Kosins and the Diva Orchestra presents Rhapsody in Boop. How amazing would that be? That would be sensational.
Right. It's Diva Jazz Orchestra. The Diva Jazz Orchestra. And I played it back in 2011. And I played it with various repertory jazz orchestras. And people loved it. Because we have back screens, in the back.
Yeah.
With Betty Boop cartoons and Betty Boop, like the animation cells, and I do a lot of anecdotal discussion points about the gentleman that created Betty, the Fleischer brothers.
Yep.
And I mean, they were the first animators to actually use American jazz musicians, African American jazz musicians in the cartoons.
Amazing. Yeah.
It's amazing. They were one of a kind.
Let's talk about Uncovered Soul.
One of my co-writers in New York City, a guy that I've been writing with since '95. His name is Jeff Franzel.
Jeff Franzel, yeah.
And Jeff Franzel. And then Kamau Kenyatta, who's one of Gregory Porter's producers, and he's also from Detroit. I ended up connecting with him, and we sat down at my house and we started talking, and we had a very we connected very well, and we decided that we would work on this album together. So I put it in his hands. He arranged it and co-produced it with me, and we worked on who I was going to call in for the sessions, and we cut it in Los Angeles, and the rest is history. Some of those songs took on a life of their own, and they got reimagined. They got completely recut from the ground up.
Wow, amazing.
So,
cool. Can we play this? Let's play the track Uncovered Soul.
Where do I go with my uncovered soul and a wide open heart in a world that's so dark and cold? And that's what I need to know. And that's why I take it slow. And that's what I need to show to you. What do you see when you look back at me? A heart that's on hold. You would love to know.
sensational. Smooth live show with Kathy Kosins and your title track from the album, Uncovered Soul. I'd like to show a clip. Tell us a little bit about the clip that you're provided regarding your abstract artwork.
So yeah, I put together this little piece of some of my paintings, and then the background music is a song that I wrote that actually Giles Peterson broke on the BBC6 on his channel, on that show, on his show, Giles Peterson show. It's a song that Paul Randolph and I collaborated. It's called Could You Be Me? And I thought the song and the lyrics would be very fitting for these little, tiny little abstractions.
Yeah.
These little paintings. They go by very quickly, you know.
You're known to your critics, well, you're known to hear colour and see sound.
Right, it's called synesthesia. It's not a disease, it's a condition. It's when I'm on a stage and I'm singing and I close my eyes, I can see color attached to each note.
Okay. Wow.
It's a very odd but welcoming. It's just part of who I am. I
mean, that's where where I just think how amazing you are, Kathy, as an artist, and not just an artist, but as a painter. You have been able to scale it from any. We talk about straight up jazz with soul, smooth, Uncovered Soul getting into the smooth jazz charts.
Uncovered Soul initially was not on the smooth jazz chart. It was on the jazz chart and the indie soul chart. The record label that I'm on was brilliant in the sense that they said, if we want to get you to the smooth audience, we have to edit some of this stuff out. We have to edit out some of the solos. We have to make them shorter for that format. And so he has the foresight to cut and dice a little bit.
Tell us a little Kathy, around the 2011 album, The Ladies of Cool.
Oh my, that came out, and that's right. What a great, I can't believe you found that. I had a concept in my brain to do an homage, not a tribute album, but an homage to 4 women who became the prototypes of the West Cool jazz movement, the West Coast cool jazz movement, which started in the 1950s in the Los Angeles area. There was a bar called the Lighthouse on the beach in Southern California, and Stan Kenton's bass player would run these weekly jam sessions, and it was just amazing, the music. I mean, it was like West Coast cool was the opposite of the East Coast jazz. West Coast cool was more, think about Henry Mancini and Johnny Mandel. The woman, Julie London, was married to Bobby Troup. It was a different kind of sound. It was laid back. There was a cool about it. Even Miles Davis fell into that West Coast cool. He was both. He was both East Coast and West Coast. Anita O'Day, Julie London, June Christie, and Chris Connor, all 4 of those women were prototypes to me of the West Coast cool movement. And so I paid homage to them. And we did a modern exploration of some of the songs they recorded. It was just a whole different time and place. It was the 50s and the 60s. And I picked very obscure songs to record for that album.
Critics say one of the most alluring voices in contemporary jazz.
That would have been the Chicago Tribune.
And
that review came out, I think, in the early 2000s, maybe what might have been around 2000. It might have been on my second album in 2002, Mood Swings.
Let's talk about one of the tracks, Fancy Free.
Right, Fancy Free was a great idea. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? I think it was Paul Randolph's idea to come up with a song that Detroiter Donald Byrd, the trumpet player, wrote and released in the 1970s. And the song is Fancy Free. Well, it was an instrumental, and Paul Randolph wrote lyrics to it. And Kamau Kenyatta and Paul co-produced it, and Kamau brought Hubert Laws, NEA jazz master.
So I want to play the Fancy Free track. Hold on, and we'll be back right after this. Kathy, can I finish up with the last track? And I think it's important just to really exemplify and show your diversity and ability to take music from any angle. Tell us a little around Put Your Voodoo On.
Put the Voodoo On Me was cut in Detroit. Paul Randolph booked the session, hired the musicians, amazing guys that I've worked with over the years. Actually, Could You Be Me, Fancy Free, and Put the Voodoo On Me were all recorded in Detroit except for Hubert Laws's flute on Fancy Free, which got recorded in LA. Put the Voodoo On Me is a reimagination of Voodoo, which appears on my Uncovered Soul album. And Voodoo was written by the Neville Brothers.
Neville Brothers, right. Okay.
Yeah, it's a Neville Brothers composition. And Put the Voodoo on Me is a reimagination of the voodoo that I recorded for my Uncovered Soul album. So, Paul did amazing things with it. He's in a band in Germany called Jazzanova, and these guys play. Yeah. So Paul is an incredible bassist and arranger and producer. So it's his track. I wasn't even there. I wasn't even allowed to be in the studio when the musicians cut the music. I went in after the fact and cut the vocal.
Is that right?
And it's a great track. It was on the 4-year consideration list last year for the Grammys. It didn't make it, but
That's
hey,
okay.
It's a great tune. Yeah.
Are you okay? Can we play it? Are you okay if we put that on?
I'm more than okay. I would love for you to play it.
You must have cast a spell, yeah. The way you got me loving you, boo, ain't no tongue can tell. No. Yeah, you must put the voodoo on me to make a love so strong. Yes, you did. Sprinkle dust all around my bed. Must have had a black cat phone. Just at a glance, you put me in a trance. When I look in your eyes, I wonder how they hypnotize. Must put the voodoo on me. You must have cast a spell. Yes, you did.
I mean, Kathy, your background is amazing, and we're just honoured to have you part of the show, and for you taking your time out to to share with us, to the audience here in Melbourne, Melbourne, Australia, as well as around the globe through YouTube and Facebook. We're absolutely honoured. SmoothJazz.Melbourne. Check us out on our socials on Facebook and also through YouTube and through Instagram. But we're really honoured to have Kathy Kosins, and we look forward to seeing you again, Kathy. The best of luck, and we'll keep the voodoo. We'll put the voodoo on, eh? We'll keep it going.
Thank you, Paul, and I hope to meet you in person one day in Australia.
Very soon. We'll see you. Bye from it. Bye from SmoothJazz.Melbourne. See you again. Keeping the smooth very smooth.
Thank you. Ciao.